Okay, so welcome everyone to this webinar from Technia, and today's topic is EXALEAD OnePart and also EXALEAD ENOVIA 3D experience. And we have the pleasure today of doing this webinar together with Dassault System and Åke Johansson, who will present the OnePart solution. Today's agenda really quick. The introduction I'm doing right now, then Åke will take over the presenter hat and do the OnePart session for about 40 minutes, and then we'll continue with just a glimpse of the EXALEAD as it is integrated now in ENOVIA 3D Experience 2014X. We'll finish with 5-10 minutes Q&A. We'll be here as long as you have questions. This webinar is also being recorded, so you can come back at any time to review details you missed, and there are some contact information to us at the end of the presentation as well. You are all muted now, but if you have questions, please use the questions functionality in the GoToWebinar client. All right, by that, I'm handing over to Åke.
So my name is Åke Johansson. I'm working in technical sales at Dassault Systems in the Gothenburg office, and today I will give a presentation about the EXALEAD OnePart product, starting with just a few slides, following up with an online demo where I will show all the key features of the system. Alright, so let's start to talk a little bit about the problem today, to find legacy parts, design files and so forth in a company today. Information is stored in different places, in different systems, and this really is a challenge for people working in, for example, a design department. Also, introducing new parts in a company is a large cost. Here we see one, summary done by the Aberdeen Group. Said this was between 30,000 and 155,000 Swedish crowns. And to get it in euro, you can just take away 1 zero, so it's between 3,000 and 15,000 euros for introducing new parts, depending on the complexity and so on. And a little bit more detailed example here is from actual one customer that is using the EXALEAD OnePart system, and in their estimate they had divided it for simple, normal and complex parts. You can see the figures are even higher of what the cost is of introducing a new part in the system. And of course, if you can limit the number of additional parts that you introduce, you can have a huge cost save here. Okay, looking a little bit more about the actual people working in engineering and design today. What are the problems and challenges? Often we hear that if you didn't create it by yourself, you can't find it, like a CAD design, a product or something like that. It's very hard to get a good overview of where everything is stored inside the company. Also, a lot of people know that there are duplicate parts within the company, that it would be really good if you could reduce this, but it's not so easily done. The problem exists, most agree on that, but how should we go forward here to reduce the duplicate parts? Also, I believe this is quite true, from a design engineer point of view, it's often very quickly done to create a new design from scratch instead of trying to find something already existing somewhere in the company. And yes, just talking about the actual design, this could be a very fast procedure, but as we will see on the coming slides, there are much more steps involved when you create a new part, and this will end up into the huge cost that we looked at on the previous slides. So let's see, this makes a lot of engineers and so on creating new designs and parts and introducing new parts into the product catalog all the time. So the number of parts will increase and increase, and this of course will be a huge cost for the company. Now, where do the costs come from? For example, new designs. Introducing new designs take more time to get into production. I mean, R&D resources are working on things. Instead, they could work on more efficient things than trying to search and recreating new parts and so on and so forth. Inefficiency in the R&D department. I mean, also introducing new parts is always it's a risk involved in that operation. New parts, unknown parts, and so on that comes into the product portfolio. And it could be also a problem to get a quick time to market. It will take longer time when you have more and more parts inside your company. Moving on a little bit, instead, I mean, if we could reuse parts as much as possible, then we could also limit the number of new parts that are being introduced. And simplified, this is what we are achieving with the EXALEAD OnePart product that can be summarized in 3 big points. Reveal hidden assets, and that means actually using this very powerful search technology, you can find all parts, designs, CAD files, drawings, documents inside your company in a very efficient way. And when you have found something that can be reused, yes, you can reuse it instead of trying to do a new design. And by revealing and reusing, you are able to reduce the number of duplicate parts within your company. And this will lead to a huge cost save in the end. So following up on this, a little summary of how it might work today in a company. You need a part. We have talked about it's very difficult today to search. Maybe you can try to do a search, probably very inefficient or even impossible. You can spend hours on doing this work without getting any good results. Instead, from the design engineer point of view, you might do a quick fix, 30 minutes, create a new design. But on top of this is all the steps like prototyping, testing, production, supplying, stocking, and this will end up with a huge cost for the company. This is not so good, so instead our approach, or the approach using EXALEAD OnePart, is the following. Of course, you start with the same scenario, you need a part, but now you have the OnePart search technology available to you as a user, and you can use this to find whatever you're looking for in less than a minute. And we will see how everything works in the online demo soon as well. And now, of course, when you have found something, it's of course immediately available for reuse. You have the part already in the system, so let's reuse it and save time and money. Saving money in about a summary of 4 ways. Reduce duplicate parts, that will save you money. You can save R&D time, of course, that will save you money because the R&D people can work on something more instead of searching inefficiently. You can speed up time to market, and you can reuse parts as well. This was a little summary on the workflow, how we are using the product. So let's move on and have a look at some of the key advantages of the OnePart application, how it works and so on. Easy to use, and it's web-based. So this means, first of all, if you install this, maybe inside a company, you can deploy this system on the intranet without installing any clients and so on the user's machines. You can access it from any platform, any web browser, or for example a mobile platform and a tablet and so on and so forth. Also, what we will see in the demo is that the system is built for very simple usability. It's like using a little bit of a Google feel to the search. You have a lot of different ways to drill down your results and so on and so forth. So you will not require any long training at all before you can use this system. From a more administrative point of view, it's very easy to install and configure. It will not require any kind of change to the current IT environment. This system is a layer on top, and we do only read operation on all the sources where we can have information and files. We will see that in more detail in the coming slide as well. Also, we can reveal and reuse both 2D and 3D CAD designs, and important is the multi-CAD support. This is for sure not limited, for example, to Dassault CAD formats. We support a very large amount of different formats. Coming up on the next slide, a more detailed list on that. You can search inside the company's all assets, over all CAD formats, 2D, 3D, and including all other documents in the same time, like Office documents, Word file, PDF, PowerPoints. So if you're searching for a part or a part number, you will easily get related documents, for example, if this part number is mentioned inside an Excel sheet. Also, the data can be stored anywhere, file servers, PLM systems, and so on and so forth. Moving on about the formats. Here you can see today we have a quite large base of supported formats. CATIA, SolidWorks, AutoCAD, so on and so forth. And also the product is being rapidly developed all the time, so we have more in development, and we have 4 big releases of the OnePart application every year, introducing new supported formats. Besides this list, we have also support for any kind of, Office documents, text files, PowerPoint, and so on that I mentioned. And one CAD format that is being worked on by R&D is Siemens Solid Edge, so that will come in a future release as well. This was about the supported formats. Also, it could be interesting to know what end system can we access and retrieve data from. File systems, no problem. Any kind of databases, any kind of ERP system. We have a very flexible platform allowing us to do connections to all those systems and retrieve information. PLM systems, of course, Smart Team, EPDM, ENOVIA, Design Central. Connectors are available out of the box. And also, we provide connectors to, for example, PTC and Siemens environments if needed. Also, in case you have an internal proprietary system, for example, something that's been developed in-house, we can very easily, using a SDK, build a connectivity module for that specific system and add that to a product. Also, we can access, information on supply catalogs available on the internet, so on and so forth. Salesforce, one example. SharePoint, another example. So, OnePart connectivity is not limited at all to just some specific formats or file systems and so on. We have a very broad base of systems we can access here. Moving on a little bit, yes, now I think it could be good to look into the product itself and see a little bit simplified use case showing some of the key features, how it works and so on. And for this example, I have a little story about Mr. Bob and Dan working on the company EXALEAD. Here Dan is the manager and Bob is a design engineer in the company, and today Bob gets an action in his inbox by mail from his manager Dan. They are creating electrical hand tools in different ways, and now they are designing a new tool, and Dan asked Bob, could we see if we have something that we can reuse? It's kind of clamp design, maybe with generic, he has this picture and he knows that this is some kind of clamp. This is a bit difficult now for Bob to do quickly and efficiently without a good, powerful search technology. The question he needs to think about is the following. Is there maybe something already inside the company that I can reuse? That would of course be the best, because Bob understands that the problem and cost involved in adding new parts. So he would like to try to find now how to do this search based on the rather generic requirement of just some kind of clamp design. Let's open OnePart and find out. And now I will switch environment to my web browser. See if everything works over the WebEx. You can see here I have the system up and running on a demo environment, I mentioned earlier that this is a web-based system, so you can just access it using the link. Maybe you have deployed it on your intranet. That's probably the normal case. You don't need to install any kind of third-party software clients, or even no plugins, or nothing is required in the browser. The system is also based on usability. It should be easy to use. You can see the search bar in the middle. Let's say that I'm looking for a clamp. The system will provide me with suggested search based on the data that we have indexed. And by indexing, that means connecting to all the sources where you have data. In this case, it is the fictional company EXALEAD. We have retrieved data, indexed the files, extracted all the attributes, 3D data. We will see all the features in the system coming up here, how it works. And that allows us to do searches in different ways. Clamp is a generic search. You can, if you like, already here combine this with specific search items like part number, project, author, material. In this starting point, if you like, you can also specify a specific CAD format if you would like to limit your result in this initial search. But now let's do a search for clamp within all assets inside this company. And you can see we got about 300 hits, like this. The list below is the a summary of all items that we have gotten hit on. And of course, we will find files containing clamp in the file name, but we will also find, the system is very intelligent, and it will go into the inside files to search for this term as well. So that could be inside an Excel file, inside the text on a 2D drawing. It will extract attributes from the CAD files and use this to be able to provide us with a search result list that matches what we are looking for. Now, having about 300 hits, it's a bit too much. I'm just scrolling down to show you all the different files and so on, and you can also see that we have previews generated for all the files. This is done without that you don't need to install any client software, CATIA or any CAD software on your machine to be able to see the previews. This is available out of the box from the system itself. Now, the question is how to do a drill down in an efficient way. So Bob is looking for a clamp design that he can reuse. Let's look on the left side. Here we have different ways to limit the search result. I can do a search for maybe things only created after 2010 in this graph. I can go into Ho and see I'm looking for clamp, maybe saved by Luca, and you can see it says 11 here. And by clicking on this one, I have activated the tag Luca, and now I have, from the 300 search result of clamp, I have 11 in my search list, meaning those 11 have been saved by this person in this case. So this is basically how you work with different tags to do drill down on your data set. Let's go back and have a look inside the watch level here, and you can see the system index data for file extension. I can, for example, click on PDF. I will get all documents related to clamp in PDF format, like this. And of course, you can apply several tags in parallel if you need. This is about file extension. Let's look in family. The system will put documents inside different families, automatically also done during indexing time of the data. SolidWorks, Autodesk, document is more Office documents and so on and so forth. Type is what kind of CAD document it is, like this. Also, the list that we see here is a default setup, but this is also very easy to configure this. The information you can see on the left side, what's being presented here, that can be modified very easily to suit a specific use case. Maybe there are some fields that are more of interest that's missing, then you can add this using the administrative console and so on. Colors, in case the attribute color is available inside the file, then we will also index color on this in this way. Moving on to look at where. Here you can, based on what sources you have, you can list the data and see what files. Maybe you're looking for clamp and maybe you know that it is for sure from Smart Team. By clicking on Smart Team, I have done a filtering down to 65, and then this can be combined with all the other tags as well. Let's go back and look at, we have, for example, in this case I have some from file system, Smart Team, EPDM, ENOVIA, SolidWorks. Location, also probably depending on the use case and what data you have in your system that you need to index. You can combine, besides the files very easily, other sources, maybe an ERP system, a database, PLM systems, to provide information like location. It could be project, any kind like this, also allowing you to do search and drill down on this data. Now moving into why. Tags, I will get back to tags in a little while. Vendor, quantity, and status. Here we have an example of an integration we have done to an ERP system, providing you with information from a completely different source and enriching the result with that. So for example, if you need to look for clamp, we have 300 hits that has been released in the other system where this is defined. You can do this filtering as easy as this. If you remember from the slides, I mentioned that we have a lot of connectors, connectivity to a lot of systems, and this means that you can integrate more or less any system that you have that can provide you with more information and be of help when you are doing searches and enriching your data like this. This was an example from the EXATools company. Let's have a look at the how level, and now you can see the system also extracts from the actual CAD data in all the CAD formats that we support material properties like this, aluminium, steel, so on and so forth. It will extract mechanical features. The system is aware of the actual shape of the 3D parts being indexed, and we will see how this works in something called 3D similarity shortly as well. I can, for example, search for a clamp or a bearing or a cogwheel with 2 or more holes or shafts and so on and so forth. Mechanical features are supported. Size, and you can see by searching on the generic term clamp, I got 3 in the range of 3 to 10 millimeters and so on and so forth. Again, this is mechanical properties related to this. Component mass, the same thing. As long as the data is available in the source file, you can see it in this way. Now, briefly, the last one is for searching in more specific fields like mass, from this to that, bounding box, project children, whole count, and this allows you to do, more or less any kind of more detailed search. Basically, you have 3 ways to search. You have the search field up here. We search for clamp. You can already here add, for example, project, author, material, stainless steel, and so forth already here. Another way is to use the drill down we have seen on the left side, and maybe I know that this is from the location Milwaukee. Let's do a drill down like this, quick and easy. And you can also do a search using this more specific fields down here. Now let's go back to Mr. Bob, and he's looking for a clamp, and he needs to do a drill down on the 319 results he got. In this case, Bob knows that he's looking for sure it's something made of aluminium 6061 alloy. So let's click on that one. The list now presents the 27 items that he's interested in, or that is a hit on this clamp with the specific material. You can list this view in different ways. This is a more line-by-line view. You can also, sorry, I took the wrong one here. Let me go back. Yeah, you can list this as a more, you know, Excel kind of view that also can be exported to a CSV or Excel file. You have the option to view it, this was what I'm looking for, more a thumbnail related view. So there are different options of listing the information. Let's go back to this list. And let's click on the first one. Maybe this is something that Bob can reuse. Now you can see the view presents you with component attributes. For example, created, author, project, and so on and so forth. Volume mass density comes, of course, from the actual CAD data inside the file. Container attributes. In this case, we have the source, the EPDM. We have the name, size, and so on and so forth. And last but not least is that we can also integrate, as I mentioned, any external system that can enrich the data with attributes, maybe from an ERP system like this. And that allows you to find this inside the same, you know, data screen here as the file itself. Very useful. Now, okay, Bob thinks this looks good, but let's look on the right side. You can see I mentioned tags, and tags can be used in different ways. This one has been tagged as obsolete, failing, and duplicate. So maybe this is not the best part to use for a new design. Instead, Bob needs to find something similar design-wise. We need this kind of design or you know, 3D shape, and that is what you can find by looking at the 3D similarity. OnePart will automatically index the 3D shape of all parts and do a real-time analysis and compare the current part that we have up here with all other parts and give you a list of parts with a high score of 3D similarity. You can see that one had 100% score, 98, 98, and so on and so forth. So this gives you a very quick view of any other part with similar design across multiple CAD formats. Could be good to mention. Now, by selecting some of those that could be of interest, let's see how this looks if I go back, and then if I go up to the compare view, because the design, the 3D shape is very similar on all the parts, but we might have some difference on the actual attributes of each file. And then you can have the master file on the left side, and you can compare that one to all other files on the right side here. So, for example, yes, the file size is 89 kilobytes on the first one, and that differs here, so that's listed by red. This is a step file. This is a CATIA, and you can even see the CATIA v5, and you can see like sub-levels of versioning and so on and so forth. And now I'd like to have a look at something that has been tagged as master, and in fact the green one has the tag master. That looks more promising. Let's click on that one. Now I am in the preview of this part that has been tagged as master. Very good. So this is actually something that Bob would like to reuse in his design. Now step 2 is to see in what assembly is this green yes, this detail used. So let's go down, and you can see I have something called parents, and this is the actual assembly where this part is used. So the system understands. No, I lost my browser here. Yes, back. The system understands also, you know, assemblies containing of subparts and so on and so forth. So in this case, we can see the design. Here is the green part that was tagged master. This is the details about the assembly. It's coming from Smart Team. Yes. By scrolling down, you can see both where this assembly is used in a higher level of the hierarchy. And you can also see what parts are this are included inside this assembly. And of course we have the green thing that we have found, and also we have some other bolts and plastic details maybe, and that one indicate number 3 says 3 instances in this assembly, so the system can also provide you with information about how many of the different parts are included. Let's click on that one on the right side. Now you remember this view, but now we are back and it says 8 items. This is in fact all the parts that's inside this assembly that we would like to reuse, because this is the complete clamp design that Bob needs to continue on in his work. And the last step now is to click on the share link, because this is a web-based system, meaning that you can just take this link and send that by mail, and your colleague can open the link and get the exact same view as on his screen. So if I go back to my presentation and my last slide, we have got this question. Now we have used OnePart to find out, and this allows Bob to send this mail back in just a few minutes. I found this part, and if he includes the link, he will be able to send this in a mail, and Dan can click on the link and open it, and then they can agree, is this a good way forward? So, results. In this, okay, a little bit simplified use case, just to describe the different features inside OnePart, I will say it was a success. Bob saved time and money and could also give a reply to his manager in a very quick time. So, I think that will conclude my demo of OnePart. So, let's see if I have something more. Yeah, I can also mention that we have some more detailed use case examples on YouTube available. One is called Architecture, Engineering and Construction, and the other is called Transportation and Mobility. That could be very interesting for you to look at, and we can provide a link of those, of course. All right.
Okay, good. Thank you very much, Åke.
Thank you.
Let's see. Now you should see my screen again. Great, and Åke, you will stay for the question and answer session. We have already received a couple of questions here so far. I would just like to take a few minutes now to show you what EXALEAD looks like when it's part of the 3D Experience platform, and the way you can sort of leverage this functionality and how that functionality is leveraged within the ENOVIA applications specifically. So this is no longer strictly or OnePart at all, so we're moving in here. So let's log in. Let's test everything. You've seen some of these user interface elements by now a few times if you followed Technia's 3D Experience webinar series, and you also saw them in the OnePart demonstration now. And the same really goes when you have the upgraded 14x environment of ENOVIA here. You have this search bar with selecting types, or just go with sort of Google-like search immediately. Let's type test here and see what we get. I get a lot of search results, and I get them extremely fast. So what we have here is the EXALEAD engine used in the background of the 3D Experience platform for indexed searching. So that is a separate infrastructure optimized for extremely rapid search in using optimized indices and tuned for ENOVIA. I will show you just quickly later on here how this can be configured to match your customizations and configurations of the system. The interesting part with an engine like EXALEAD like this is that you have so fast response times so that working dynamically with a search result becomes a pleasure in a different way. So on the left hand side here you see what Dassault calls the 6W tags. So who, when, what, where, why and how. There you see the W at the end of how as well. So here you can filter your search result based upon a certain set of predefined criterion, and you can also add your own. So here you can see what, there you see the different business types of information occurring in your search result. So maybe I'm just interested in the parts. I click the part, and here you see now that the active tags in my filter here is business type, and there I've selected the value parts. If I clear this, I go back again. I can filter based on maturity, meaning the life cycle state, for instance. Let's see what's in the release state. Okay, 25. Then I can continue to narrow that down, filtering on business type. So maybe I'm interested in requirements that are released. Then I can go in and see, okay, based on the difficulty, I want to see all the high difficulty released requirements, etc., and just drill down into your search results. And this is possible even though the amount of data in your system might be very high. This is what these search engines are really good at. So it opens up lots of interesting possibilities here. 6W tags as a way of filtering the search result. What you also have is, if we close down the search results, here I have a standard list. It's a flat table view of, in this case, a lot of requirements. It can be all kinds of things. If I go into ENOVIA here, let's see what we have. We can go and see. Okay, let's go into the requirement side. Let's look at the requirements. Just a flat list of items. Here you also have the possibility to enable these 6W tags for your items you see on the screen. So here again I get these 6W tags that allows me to filter out based on, perhaps I want to see the requirements in proposed state. And then the filtering is immediate of the, not the search result, but the information I have displayed in my screen. So this is available for pretty much all the flat table views in the system right now as of 14X. Just a few very quick words on configuration. Just wanted to show you what it looks like when you have the EXALEAD admin user interface. So here you see the admin consoles. Very easy to work with storage, see the status of the system, very modern layout like this, so you can do all your EXALEAD administration from this web admin user interface. Finally, here you see some XML. I mean, no webinar is complete without a display of some XML. This is the way you configure the EXALEAD search functionality for ENOVIA or the 3D Experience Platform 14X. It's a simple XML file residing on the server, and then commands that when you have altered this, perhaps you want to add indexing of a couple of your own custom attributes. Then you go into this file, you update the XML, and then you just publish this XML to EXALEAD by a couple of commands in the administrative consoles, the MQL consoles. So it's very easy to work with in this sense as well, to make sure that you can really leverage your updated customized or configured information models to work also with the indexing engine. All right, that was pretty much what we had planned so far. Let's see if I can find the questions that I did something with. The questions. There they are. So, Åke, are you also standing by to answer questions here? Great.
Sure, no problem.
First question here, can we add our own customized fields to this more functionality that you displayed?
Sure, it's fully customizable, and you can add any field that you need using the administration console and some modules available there, yes.
Great. And then a question from Lindsay at CNH. He has a more process-oriented question, where to really include the OnePart, since it is a separate functionality now. I mean, a short answer to this is that the OnePart functionality can be totally embedded as part of the 3D Experience platform to make it a sort of natural ingredient in the parts management workflows. We can come back with more details on how to do that, but it's definitely possible. Next questions, in the W tags, the what thing, how does filtering the existing result? Okay, sort of logs maintained, or if this is being done locally. It's technology-wise, good question. I think this is done using server-side caching. It has to be done using server-side caching. Do you know the answer to that, Åke?
Well, for the standalone OnePart application, we have the index where all the data is stored, and all searches that you do, including the tags, in that case will be against that index.
So the question is if this is also directly against the index, or if it's, I believe that this is based on server-side indexing actually, because it is initially the result of a database query and not a query to the EXALEAD index. So in this case, EXALEAD is functionality is used to filter out the appropriate results here. I'll have to come back on that issue. I'll figure that out. Access security. Good question. If it's based on unique username and passwords and how you log the extraction from the systems. I can just elaborate a bit on that, because that has always been a bit of a problem area when integrating a PLM system which has a very complex, or a possibility to have a complex access model definition. You know, in the case of ENOVIA, you have policies, life cycle states with filtering capabilities, and there you also have programmatic ways of runtime looking up user access, and so it's very hard for an external search engine to work with that. However, it is now so in ENOVIA that the access mechanism now is based on vectors that are pre-compiled. So the search engine knows who owns the information and by that has access, or who is part of an organization with access to an information object, and etc., etc. And those access vectors are recompiled whenever information changes. So, for instance, when you promote a part, that part's access vectors will be updated. So the search engine access mechanisms will always be in sync with the PLM system. So that is a big change that has happened in the core functionality of Enovia in the past 3 releases, I believe. And perhaps you would like to comment on the access mechanism in EXALEAD standalone, Åke?
Yes, quick comment. When we index the data, for example, files, we will also index the ECL list containing, the file security rights, the groups it contains, and so on. And by accessing OnePart, you are authenticated as a user, for example, against your AD domain or an LDAP server and so on and so forth. And while you do search, the system will automatically check what files or data are you allowed to see and only present those for you. So if you have a couple of files indexed but you're not allowed to see them, you won't see them in the search. So we have the framework for security is well established in the product.
Great. Nagarayan has a question. What's the incremental indexing frequency that is recommended to use when you have EXALEAD with 3D experience? That's a tough question. It's always a balance between how fast you want changes to be available for searching versus the amount of changes happening frequently. But I would say that somewhere between 30 seconds and 5 minutes, it's a very rough time span. We have to look more at the exact use case for that. Rapidly, anyways, I mean, if someone creates a new part and then they perform an operation, perhaps a structure operation, and they can't find that part, they will get quite annoyed. So not more than a minute or 2 in the normal cases. If there are large databases and the incremental indexing then will take some time, then perhaps some longer, but most likely not. Let's see what else we have. If EXALEAD has some more advanced processes than K2 searching. Are you able to index details about related objects, similar to a BOM parent-child? Connected object attribute or name. Will the related index data be updated when the data is changed? You can define searchable. What happens when you index stuff in EXALEAD is that it gets created a new, what they call a document, which is sort of the atom form of data storage there. And that document can contain information that comes to the EXALEAD engine by navigating information in Enovia, definitely so. What happens when the navigated data is changed? I would say that will not update the document itself, but the document is connected to the main object, so that will have to be the trigger. You can, of course, make sure that the main object is updated by using propagate history functionality and things like that from Enovia as well. But that is also something to consider when creating the Enovia data model there. And the mapping, of course, to EXALEAD. All right. Did we answer all the questions here? Didn't really understand your questions there, Senavarian. If EXALEAD will have some advanced processes that's K2 search. Let's continue that discussion offline, and please feel free to send me an email or hook up, give me a call or something later on. So just to conclude, hook up with us, LinkedIn, Technia, Twitter, go to our website. Please do. There you find contact information for all possible kinds of inquiries. Your wish is our command again. We like to have these webinars because it gives us a lot of possibility to meet you guys and answer your questions or listen to interesting ideas. Let us know. Please email Jana Alberg, who is our marketing manager, with your ideas, stuff you would like to hear, and we'll set that up Technia or together with Dassault. So thanks from Dassault and Technia. Hope you will attend our coming webinars. Tomorrow there's one on the topic of document management, so go to our website, please sign up, and thanks again. Bye-bye.